If you keep saying, look at the bright side, everything's gonna be fine, think positive thoughts, you gotta watch this video till the end because I'll tell you exactly how these words can be harmful and how they can be in the way and blocking whatever you're trying to achieve or who you're trying to become. So let's get started. How many times when you were in a not so great situation, for example, you got sick or someone in your family maybe died or someone close to you died, or maybe you were going through divorce or a bad breakup, how many times have you heard people say, look at the bright side, think positive thoughts, everything's going to be fine, don't worry about it? Or on the opposite, maybe someone said, oh my gosh, this is so horrible, I can't believe this happening, he's such a jerk, she's such a jerk. Either you're saying to yourself or you hear someone else saying. So we tend to go into these two extremes, either positive or very negative. So what's the deal? How these can be harmful or how these can block us from achieving whatever we want? Here's the secret. If we tend to go into the extremes, let's look at the positive extreme for today. What we're doing is we're trying to pressure ourselves or we're trying to pressure others in a way to feel positive no matter what. So it becomes toxic. It becomes unsupportive. It becomes in the way of what we're trying to achieve or who we're trying to become. If you're not willing to work on yourself, or you think everything happens to you and you have nothing to do with this, you can stop the video now. You don't need to watch. For the rest of us, including myself, I'm still working on me and will work till the day I die. What's so harmful about these words? So when something not so great happens, if we hear someone else saying, look at the positive side, think positive, technically there is nothing wrong with these words. But what I don't particularly like is that we dismissing what we're feeling, or we're dismissing what we're going through, or other people do that in a way onto us. So they're dismissing whatever circumstance we are in right now or what we're going through. They're dismissing and invalidating those, I would say, crappy emotions like fear. Maybe we're feeling sad or down or depressed or anxious or whatever other not so great feeling. So we're invalidating and we're saying, no, it's not okay to feel these things. These things are not good. Therefore, we're going to push them down or push them away. So what happens when we do that? Several things. We invalidate the emotions. We're pressuring ourselves. So basically, we're pushing down those emotions and we're dismissing the variety of feelings. Well, I'm a human, you're a human. So the life supposed to be a little bit at least up and down, unless you're living somewhere where there are no people around you, where you can be high vibe 24/7 and life never happens to you. For me, for you, probably life happens. We go through a little bit ups and downs through the wavy line, right? So it's okay to feel those emotions. Here's what happens if you push them away. It's not only that you invalidate them, you feel not important. Your circumstance feels not important enough. You feel that other people cannot understand or don't understand you. If you're saying that to others, the same applies to you. Those people who you say to look at the bright side, be positive, and all these variations of these words, they don't feel they can relate to you or that you can relate to them. So automatically, we lack communication, we lack understanding. Business deals fall through because people cannot connect on the same level. Health goes down, and I'm actually a perfect example of that. Before I share my story, let me back up for a second. Whenever we push down emotions, that means that we're not processing them. If we're not processing emotions, that means they're still there. We may not consciously think about them. Let's say we're going through divorce or some death. What we're doing is we're saying, I don't want to think about this. I'm just going to push aside, push it down. Those emotions are still there. They don't go anywhere unless we process them. By processing, I mean we have to feel, so they don't exist anymore. So we don't have that emotional charge to whatever circumstance or event. My dog decided to walk around. I'm like, okay, fine. Anyways, so what happens is they get stuck in our bodies. And what that creates sickness, that creates chronic pain. And in 2009, I could not sit for more than 10-15 minutes. I could not even walk straight. My body was kind of crooked and nothing actually helped. And I went to surgeons and they told me, Renata, you need spine surgery or you're not going to be okay. No way, I'm going under the knife. So I figured, okay, I'll find something that actually works for me. And I went on a research, on a journey to figure things out. Look at the subconscious level, look at how we process things, look at how those circumstances, those situations actually impact us. What happens when we push down or push away emotions that we don't want to feel? And what I found was that they don't go anywhere. That's what happened to me. I couldn't actually even sit or be normal in my physical body. It was pain all the time. I did not have surgery. Today, I'm perfectly fine and I did not have surgery. All I did was to work on me. I figured out, okay, what in the past has happened that creates emotional charge. And here's what I mean by that. If you're in the United States, if I ask you what happened at 9/11, your mind automatically is going to connect, oh, I know what happened. Bad things happened. How do you know? Why your mind automatically connects to those events? Because that event evoked a strong emotion. And we memorize unconsciously and consciously those events that evoke a strong emotion. So if you have the events that we were going through that evoke some emotions in you, guess what happens? They are still there, whether it's good or bad. In order not to have these emotional charges coming up over and over again, whenever stuff happens, whenever life happens, you have to process them. You have to identify the patterns. You have to figure out where they're coming from. And then you have to process them, simply feel them. Go through these emotions. And don't worry, it's not such a bad thing to feel them. It's just to sit with them and just allow them to process, allow them to be. Whenever you're allowing them, they're just processed and they start dissipating, they start diminishing, they start eliminating themselves based. Now, the reason we're trying to push that positivity is because it's unpleasant to feel. So you're trying to go from one extreme to another, from pushing down the emotions to being super extremely positive. Is this possible? Probably temporarily, maybe, possibly. But if you're looking at the long term, it's not going to last long because sooner or later you're going to be re-triggered. And then you will have these reactions that you don't want in the worst times, in the worst circumstances. So positivity can be really toxic if you're coming from this inadequate space where you're trying on one end to push down what's really going on inside. On the other end, you're trying to be this positive person that lights up the room. And every single one of us actually feel other people. Have you ever had a situation where you walk into the room or whether it's a party or a meeting, or you just meet someone at a networking meeting maybe and just talk to people, and you know there's something off. People may be smiling, maybe you're talking to a person, they're smiling and everything seems to be great, but you feel like, there's something off there. Ever happened to you? Because it happens all the time to me. Because we're trying to, in a way, to pretend that everything is wonderful in our lives. And deep inside, when we're alone with ourselves, we feel very differently. Now, I'm not saying that you need to share everything you're feeling or thinking with every person you meet. No, find people who you trust. But the more you push down these emotions, the more you ignore them, you'll be avoiding feeling them. And that's the harmful part to you. In relationships, in work environment, in businesses, your health, every aspect of your life. So what to do? Like I mentioned, just identify patterns. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What are you doing over and over and over again? Find where it's coming from. What's causing it? When was the first time I felt this? When was the first time I saw someone doing this? When I think that was created. Why am I afraid to feel these emotions that are not so great? And just sit with them, process them. So I hope you find that helpful, and comment below and tell me what patterns you find if you choose to work on yourself. And by the way, if you do want to work on yourself and actually clear these patterns, I recently published a book that is called The Journey to Healing, where I break things down so it's crystal clear for anyone reading, whether you're advanced or whether you're just beginning in this journey. I spent the whole chapter there on toxic positivity and give you a step-by-step blueprint how to break these patterns so you don't push those emotions down so you don't react at whatever happens in your life. And I'll include the link in the bio if you want to grab it or check it out. And I hope you get on the journey.